I was commissioned to create this build for a client. This is ZooMed's largest enclosure, measuring 36 by 18 by 36 inches. Check out my previous videos to see how I made this background in more detail. I use these backgrounds as a natural lattice for plants to grow up. I begin building by adding a drainage layer. I'm using a mixture of pumice and charcoal. And then I add a mesh barrier to keep the substrate separate. A drainage layer helps plants' roots access as much water as they need without it being oversaturated. Now it's time to add the bioactive substrate, a chunky, well-draining mix, followed by the hardscape. This is the skeleton of the enclosure. How it's arranged is important for your animal as well as the plants. You want to create as many usable places to explore and hide as possible. I'm using cork bark and manzanita. Let's grab some sphagnum moss off the shelf. I use this almost to glue the wood together. I shove it in cracks where the wood and cork meet the background. Once plants begin rooting into it, it becomes very solid. Before adding plants, I want to saturate the entire enclosure. The last thing you want to do is to check your build to find that your plants have all dried out. I'm adding hardy plants like golden pothos, dracaena, and various philodendrons. Plant lighting is powered by the Arcadia Jungle Dawn LEDs. I've yet to find a better light for plant growth. The client will add UVB as well as heat once the animal is introduced. Now it's time to add the shining stars of a bioactive enclosure, isopods and springtails. These are nature's cleanup crew. They help break down waste, so you don't have to. These are springtails, and they love eating mold. Neither will harm your pets or plants, as they only go after decaying matter. Finally, we top it off with a thick layer of leaf litter. Leaf litter and botanicals are essential for a healthy cleanup crew, and as they break it down, it adds more nutrients to the soil. Now that the enclosure is done, I find it important to let it grow out for a minimum of a month before adding your animal. This gives time for everything to acclimate and really establish itself. I see a lot of people trying to skip this part. Practice patience. Enjoy the process.